Welcome to Radio Free Mind, a place to discuss the larger and deeper issues, ideas that can help us live the best possible lives and fully enjoy our time on Earth. RadioFreeMind.com.
Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, everybody, too, for joining me for another edition of Radio Free Mind. Today, I plan to discuss something that's been burning on my mind for some time, and that is why government is the worst way to do anything. I hear people arguing about whether this party or that is the better one, or this or that president or senator or congressman or city councilman is the best guy or gal for the job. And all I see is really bungled efforts by government to do anything, or when they do achieve something, it's at the expense of our freedoms, or to make something more expensive, more complicated, or downright impossible. And then I wondered, why is that? It can't be by coincidence. It seems to be by design. Now, I'm not saying that necessarily these city councilmen, senators, etc., want to do a bad job. It's just that their goals are different, and their reasons for being in office are different from what we the people hope and expect from them. So why is that? Well, this will be a several-part talk, but the first part I want to get to the very root of the matter, and that is, I believe that government itself is a morally bankrupt concept. Now, early on, when governments first formed, and I believe they formed around roving bands of marauders that got lazy and wanted to stay in one place, so they required their subjects to stay in what became cities. But that's a different story. In any case, what is government really that dooms it to failure? In my opinion, it's its bankrupt moral character. Why do I say that? Well, whether one believes in God or not, and certainly if one does believe in God, one generally accepts certain very basic principles as being moral. In other words, disregarding them would be harmful, if not ruinous, to any group of people, perhaps even any one person. Some of these things include the right to own property, that if somebody has worked for something in an honest way, that people would recognize that he has earned the money or the property by barter, or however one acquires whatever property you want to describe, and that the person's own body and the labor done by that body are also his own property. So if one recognizes those things, then it's a short leap to say it's also recognizable that certain things are wrong or harmful. And among those would be something you could summarize as the initiation of force, especially lethal force. And that could even be broadened to say the threat of force is wrong. So it's wrong for me to pull a knife or a weapon or threaten to do that unless you give me some of your property, whether it's money or something else. So therefore, if those things are wrong or right, depending on which thing you're describing, for an individual, there is no moral basis to say if you get two or more individuals together that suddenly their rights change, that they either don't have the right of property or they have the right to someone else's property or their life or physical well-being. So ganging together doesn't give people more rights than they have individually. And therefore, given that, if this group of people bands together and calls themselves government or Congress or the Supreme Court, that doesn't give them any more moral powers or rights than the individuals have, or that they would have if they took their robes off, or their wigs, or whatever little badge of authority they have. It's a short extension from accepting that premise to say that if you don't have certain powers, that you can't vote to give them to somebody else, So if I don't have the power to take away your swimming pool and give it to somebody else, then I also don't have the power to vote for someone else and delegate to him a power that I don't have. Think about that one. So the answer to the question, why is government so bad at what it does, is because government itself is based on a principle of immorality, that somehow we can allow a group of people who band together to have more powers and pass on moral principles that we ourselves don't get. As a result, the organization itself is open to committing immoral acts, and it attracts people who themselves are interested in performing immoral acts and having power over others. That is not a good combination, and it is doomed to fail. So that's basically what I wanted to bring out. What I'd like to do is leave that out there for people to mull over, and those of you who'd like to respond, please do so, and we'll start a discussion. If you have a well thought out argument in support or against what I've said, then please let me have it by whatever means you got this recording, and I will answer it in the next show. I would like your permission, when you do answer, to read your answer on my show. So thank you for listening. Please think about what I said and see what you think. At some future time, yes, we will get into, if we're not going to have governments that rule by force and threat of force and deadly force, then how do we protect ourselves? How do we achieve certain things? As many people often bring up, who would build the roads? I'll give you a sneak preview and tell you the same people that build them now, because it isn't those congressmen that build the roads. So thanks again for listening, and I hope to catch you again next time.
Thanks for listening to Radio Free Mind. Please feel free to comment and join the discussion by sending an email to daniel@radiofreemind.com. We'd like to hear your thoughts and opinions. We hope you'll join us again very soon. And remember, past episodes are archived on our website at radiofreemind.com.